All right. Sup, guys? Sneaky Cock Goblin back with another video on this Friday. Happy Friday. Bracket's already busted, but it's a good day. I want to show off some Legends League attack and give you some tips and tricks, helpful tips on how to be successful in Legends League. I know the RC walk is the meta, so that's the strategy we're kind of going with. I had my first 320 day. Look at this, plus 88, plus 41. I've had some huge jumps in trophies, so maybe that 6,000 I got 10 days left is not out of reach. But I've really taken some time to study the strategies of, I'm still using the air meta with dragons, but I've really I felt like I've done a really good job the last 2 days. I had one time fail, 99%, which was brutal, and everything else pretty good. So first off, some helpful tips, making sure obviously your army is set. I know this is stupid, but it can get redundant when you're doing so many attacks and you jump into an attack and you don't have your full troops, you don't have your CC troops. That could be the difference in the attack. I actually had one attack, I think, without my CC troops, and I got very, very lucky. Or sorry, I didn't have my revive spell, and I got super lucky in my attack. So we're going to go through a couple attacks of today. I'm going to go through the more difficult ones. I think I shared one of these replays. This one was a pretty good one. 749. So couple things to start with. So with the RC walk, this is one of the biggest keys with this attack. You do not want to go into heavy heroes. And who are classified as heavy heroes? The king is the heaviest. The minion prince is the second heaviest. I think that's the minion prince. Yep. And the RC is the third. If you're going to go into a hero, the queen is the one to go into with this walk, especially if you have the revive spell, because she is the easiest to take down and she is the easiest to deal with if you get stuck with her on the back end. I have learned from a lot of these attacks that might bait, that if you put yourself in a spot where you're in front of the queen, you are absolutely going to screw yourself. I actually got really lucky with this attack. So I don't know how or why the AI just walked straight on past that, and I screwed myself even more with this. But I got really lucky because I went invis, and I said, well, I'm done with this attack, and I ended up getting the monolith, which pretty much saved this attack. So a couple other things with this attack that is helping. The skeleton spell at the right time is always beneficial. So either I'm going to place my first skeleton spell in a place where it will distract for the queen, or it will distract the initial part of the attack. And so I went right into a air sweeper, which sucks in this case. But I was still able to get a decent amount of this core by freezing both the fire spitters going from there. My queen died. So at this point of the attack, it's looking pretty gloomy here. I don't have that many. And the other thing too is I'm screwed here because the king is right next to where the royal champ will spawn. So I got lucky in the fact that I was able to use the minion prince and be patient. So I took down the town hall. Now, there is the key for the second skeleton spell. You should always wait for the second skeleton spell. This distracted the king long enough to be able to take him down and push my RC forward. I don't think if I had the healers, if I didn't have the healers, I still think I would have gotten this. Because the RC had quite a bit of help, but the healers helped a lot. That second skeleton spell is key and needs to be utilized for things like the king. You should wait for it, or the monolith. The monolith is one of your biggest deterrents to getting 3 stars. So that was a clutch 3-star against a very good base after a not so good RC walk. The second thing that I want to talk about in this attack is, and with these attacks in general, with the RC walks, are how to go about a base. So, diamond base. If there is a diamond base, you never should go towards the town hall. There's a lot of bait here. You're going into the, even though you could take out the monolith, the invis spell will screw with you all day, and you will not know where to put. You might be really, really good at being able to place the RC, but the RC will walk away and you'll waste some spells. This isn't the most advanced base, so usually I like to go from the opposite end if that's the case. So we're going to go from the opposite end here, and there's a lot of value, or the adjacent value. Of course, I go from the adjacent value. Now, the reason why I did this, so usually I would say the opposite end. In this case, I went from the adjacent because of this core. Now, I'm not going to go for the town hall in this case because, one, the blimp's going to take way too long. I'm never going to go from this end either because there's just, I mean, I could go from this end because it's the backside, but then once they get all the way around, you got to deal with this part. That's no bueno. That's a lot more damage. I want to deal with this on the front end and go from there. I also want to use my blimp to my advantage. So this is why I'm going from this end, because I'm going to drop the blimp somewhere around here so I can take out that core. That core will ruin the attack. Also, I'm pushing into the queen. The queen gets taken out very quickly, so I don't have to worry about her, and the royal champ will get revived in a really good spot here. So she's in a good spot. I even was able to pop, well, I popped the invis spell and this air sweeper, and I'll talk about that in the second part, or most other parts of another attack on how to use the giant arrow and where to go for. So, blimp is down, waited on the blimp a little bit, and I was able to use the rage in combination to get most of this core out. And this, I mean, the base is pretty much waxed here. I mean, at this point, we're doing pretty good, and I know on the back end, I was able to freeze the town hall on the monolith. And then as long as the RC gets the monolith, we're good to go. Use my last invis spell, and for the most part, it looked pretty good. But we still had so many troops left that we were good to go. So that was to get I was really nervous on that attack because I haven't gone 320 for a while. So there's tips as far as making sure that you are going from the right spot depending on the base. Now let's see if this is a box base. Okay, box base, perfect. So on a box base, you really want to make sure that you are trying to take out with the RC heavy air defense, and like I said, you don't want to push towards the any sort of hero. So all the heroes are up here. The mono, this is total bait. You definitely do not want to go up there. You'll take that out later. This is a good spot to end up in because you're away from all the heroes. If she pushes up here, that's fine, but you're away from all the heroes. So we'll let this play out here. You can get a lot of value. And for the Spirit Fox attack, you know, if the Spirit Fox goes down, you probably will let her die because she doesn't provide much value. In this case, she goes down fairly early. But I see that there's a lot of fairly good value here as long as I can get this multi-archer. Actually, I let her die. So I let her die. I would argue, though, I should have possibly tried to get this multi-archer tower, but it leaves me with 3 invis spells, which gives me a lot. And she died in a decent spot, too. So we're able to set the funnel. And a couple things with this giant arrow. So the number 1 priority should be the sweepers and the invis spells. Those are the number 1 priorities. An air defense is nice to get, and that's a bonus, but the sweepers can really screw you up, especially when there is a poison spell base, because that will really slow down your kill squad. So we ended up okay here. I didn't think I got that much value, but I did get a really good value here in this. Look at this. I wait for the perfect time, get every single dragon and my queen in that. And this is a good rage core value with my blimp. Now, a couple things with the blimp. If the blimp gets hit by a tornado trap, you need to be ready to put down that rage spell, because I think you need to rage up the Yetis most of the time regardless, because if they go down quickly, the Yeti mites can still do a lot of damage. In addition to the core, them running around is huge. Raged up Yeti mites do so much damage. So far in this attack, pretty good. I revive my Royal Champ early because she can get a lot of value here in this bottom corner, and I have three invis spells. So the core is taken care of. So we're looking fairly good here. And I have 3 invis spells, and I'm really focusing on this. At this point, I don't care what happens here because there's nothing you can do here. On the back end, it's all about focusing on the Royal Champ and making sure she gets as much value as you can. You can save a freeze spell here, but in reality, your biggest goal here is to make sure that the Royal Champ stays alive for as long as possible, because she's the reason why you're going to get 3 stars in this attack. So I was able to push her up and take out the multi-gear tower. Perfect freeze here on the... So I was able to get the Expo as well. Oh, so much value there. And perfect there. Perfect. Okay, now we'll focus on other parts of the attack too, because I'm trying to get to each component of the attack. So now we'll talk about Minion Prince ability and Queen ability. So another box space here. Where are we not going? We're not going to be pushing here. This is stupid. We're not going to be we probably will push here. Hopefully I push here. This is dangerous. You can push here. And I think I actually do push here, but you need to be pretty advanced with your invis spells. I think I actually push from the top here, if I'm not mistaken. And I get fancy with my invis spells. Hopefully I do, so I can showcase a tutorial on this. Okay, so I go from the bottom. Okay, yep, I go towards the queen. That makes sense. I have a decent amount of value here, and I'm actually hoping that I go towards the monolith, but I think I go down, which is fine. A lot of value here. If there's a dragon that's kind of sitting out here, there's no defenses that can take the dragon out. Always try to drop a dragon here and there. And then, perfect. She dies in a good spot here. So she almost takes down the queen. So from here, we're going to probably go from the top side here. So the top side here is good. We take out one. We prioritized the air sweeper, got that. And yeah, I'm surprised. Well, yeah, that makes sense. We didn't go from the top side. This bottom side is heavy, heavy, heavy. And there we go. So skeleton spell for the monolith, prioritize that. And I wait for the warden ability. Boom, the super bomb goes off. We still get the town hall. And then the Minion Prince ability is something that it just needs to try to get as most of the base as it possibly can. All the heavy defenses. That is it's essentially an endless freeze spell for the base. So just making sure you line him up. I would say that it should come in later. You should be patient with it. It's not something you should utilize right away. So we end up cleaning this base up fairly well. And yeah, cleaning the 3 stars. I was able to swag a couple spells there as well. Let's see here. This was a good base. So this is another diamond base where, where are we not going? We're not going to go into here. We're not going to push the town hall. We're probably we could go here. That's fine. We could even go here as well. But I'm a little worried at where she'd end up. So, there's a lot of places. This base is a little bit easier to attack. One of the bigger keys that I've found is making sure that she dies in the right spot. The other component is keeping the queen alive. The queen staying alive in this attack is very, very important. The queen can take out pretty much the entire section of the base, and what I mean by that is she's going to go all the way around the base and absolutely cook most of the defenses as long as she stays alive. And I don't know why I pushed into the king here. That was not smart. I think I was feeling like an idiot when this happened, because I was. But I was able to get a ton of value out of my Spirit Fox here, including that Spirit Fox. So She dies in a horrendous spot here. That is an absolute L. That was not smart of me. I should have probably had her die somewhere around here and pushed her over to the right. So this one thing is important about where I'm at right now with this blimp, because I am a long ways away from the town hall, and most likely I'm not going to reach the town hall. So in this case, I'm looking at the base and I'm like, well, the dragons are going to go up and around here. So there's no point in me releasing a blimp. This dragon will go away, unfortunately, probably die fairly easily, but it's going to distract everything. And I'm waiting to use my warden ability because there's not much damage going on. And I wait until this point, drop the skeleton spell, and I'm waiting. I'm being patient, and boom, and I miss the ability. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Fortunately, I soak up a lot of the bombs, and I actually take out the heroes, and this is where I said, you got to be ready if the blimp goes down early to deploy the rage spell, because raged up Yeti mites are a thing to deal with. The other thing is once the king goes down, boom, I'm throwing that royal champ. The royal champ is a green light. She's going to get a ton of value on all this stuff. The Yeti, man, look at those Yeti mites go, just absolutely shredding. And this base is pretty much cooked. I mean, the royal champ is still going to be alive. She's doing fine. I have 2 freeze spells. Like, this absolutely does a really good job here. But being patient with that and being ready to go, just in case something doesn't go right, you're still able to save some of the attacks there. And then we'll go over the war. I've just been really focusing up a little bit. The last couple of attacks, I've been kind of lazy with some of the wars. And I will go with this is the dreaded base. I hate this base so much. So the priority is here to make sure that you take out the air sweepers for one, but you must pop the invis spell with the giant arrow. And this is another base where this is baited, so there's no point in pushing the town hall, and you should go from this side still. However, the blimp needs to be dropped right here, and you freeze everything up and let the Yeti mites go to town. And honestly, you should try to freeze this before the rage tower pops, but I don't think I'm successful. So, anywhere is good here with the royal champion because she's just going to push up through here, and that's fine. Pushes into the royal champion. That's not defending royal champion. I don't really care too much about that. She's the 3rd strongest hero. So she's going to die in a really perfect spot here. I get a lot of value from her, and then I pop the invis spell, get a ton of value from the arrow, and then this is a quality skeleton spell. Distracts the heroes, distracts the expo, and distracts the monolith. Now, I freeze there, and I don't let the rage tower go off. I don't drop my rage tower, unfortunately, or rage spell. I get another freeze off, but look at the Yeti mites just go to town here, takes everything out in the core, and then I'm good here. The core is taken out. I can revive my royal champ when I need to. Once my perfect minion prince ability for that back end. I'm a little worried about that single target Inferno tower, but really, the queen's still alive. And sometimes maybe you need to use a spell to keep her alive there. Maybe I should have used an invis spell to keep her alive. But the attack was already over, and I was able to swag 2 spells there. So got the 3-star on their top base, and just absolutely cooked. Let's see if there's one. I want to show a base, a triple, double invis. Yes, I wanted to showcase a double invis base. So the priority here is to make sure, and this is on my second base, that the arrow needs to come from the corner. If the arrow doesn't come from the corner, it's possible to pop it straight up and down, but it needs to be a very precise arrow, and you do not want the invis towers to go off with the blimp, because the blimp will toss. I mean, you could try to freeze the towers, but the invis towers will toss the Yetis completely out of the zone, and you get no value out of them. So in this case, there's a ton of value at the bottom. I'm hoping that she pushes one direction or the other. All the heroes are in one spot, but man, there's a ton of value for the electro boots here. I get the single target Inferno. I get the geared tower. I'm going to get a couple air defenses, or one of the air defenses, because she's going to go one direction or the other here. And I end up getting her to go all the way up here. And I pop both the invis spells, and we're good to go. First, I drop the skeleton spell. Look at the value. I mean, it's going to mess with the scatter shots. Both the multi-archer towers are distracted. And even though we're going into the sweeper, it's in kind of an awkward spot. And now, because I got all that value with the blimp, like, I know that... unfortunately, and this is, I get lucky with this ability sometimes. Look how much he tanks so many of those monoliths with the metal pants. And then he gets smoked out by but he took so much damage there and just cooked, even with the Phoenix ability. So I was, even with a weird spell, I ended up having a random recall spell that I was able to just destroy this base. So yeah, hopefully that gives you guys some helpful tips on how to go about Legends League. I think I went through 7, 8 attacks. So I'm hoping to climb to 6,000 trophies. Let me know what you guys think. Please like, comment, subscribe, and peace.